So what is up, guys? Nick here, back again with another video helping you to master your technology. iPhone 8 Plus versus Pixel 2 XL, honest feelings. What I think about both of these, you guys seem to be enjoying this honest feelings series, so we're going to continue this one with these two big boys on the Apple side versus the Google side. Now, let's begin by talking about some of the key specs that matter. Let's start with the 8 Plus. So A11 Bionic, 3 gigs of RAM, 12 megapixel 4K 60 camera, and around a 2700 milliamp hour battery. Runs iOS 11 out of the box. And basically, the spec that really stood out the most to me is just the A11 Bionic keeps this phone running super fast day to day, and the battery life is really what stood out here for the 8 Plus. So those are two really good areas because performance and battery life mean a lot. And we'll talk more about the design in a little bit. Now, for the camera, also that 4K 60 was nice for the 8 Plus. But other than that, the photos look kind of similar to the iPhone 7 Plus, to be honest. Now, over here on the Pixel 2 XL, you're looking at a Snapdragon 835, which is one of the best mobile CPUs of 2017, and it remains to be one of the best still to this day. Now, 4 gigs of RAM is a little higher than the iPhone 8 Plus, but Android kind of needs a little bit more RAM because of the way it manages system resources in the background. You do have a 12 megapixel camera to 12.2 on the Pixel 2 XL on the rear, and it does 4K as well, but only up to 30, but it does have HDR processing and smart AI that really makes this camera really kill it in the day-to-day. So the spec that stood out the most to me was the camera on the Pixel 2 XL. Also, that performance is really nice for an 835, better than a lot of other Android phones that I did see in 2017 and even here in 2018. It runs flawlessly over here on the Pixel 2 XL. The display is also a strong point for me, especially since they updated the color to, give you more of a saturated color. So if we go into colors here, you have saturation mode. Now the display is definitely really nice for the Pixel 2 XL, and it does have a little bit of a blue tint, but seriously, it's really overblown. It's not that big of a deal. It looks pretty great if you're not looking for a blue tint. Okay, so what are my honest feelings on design between both of these? Now, with the iPhone 8 Plus, you're looking at this new red color. It's a pretty hot color, just dropped a couple days ago, but it's still the glass back. It does have an aluminum side, and while I think this design is very clean and conservative, it's not too, in your face, bold, except for the color. It's a pretty nice design, but at the same time, it's feeling kind of old. I mean, if you buy an iPhone 6 Plus in 2014 and you update to an 8 Plus, while you will feel like you got a refined version, you're still going to feel like it's pretty similar phone. It doesn't feel like a super huge update. And another thing I want to mention is that a lot of people have copied this design when it comes to a lot of Chinese phones, such as the OnePlus 5T, for example, the OnePlus 5. Those phones look very similar to this. Also, the Xiaomi Mi A1 looks very similar to this device and some other Chinese copycats. So there's a lot of people copying this design, which makes this design not too unique. And a lot of people do have 8 Pluses, 7 Pluses, 6S Pluses. So this phone doesn't stand out. It's not unique anymore. The red stands out, but the phone design itself just doesn't. Now, over here on the Pixel 2 XL, this is a little bit of a standout phone when it comes to this white color, at least. The black color is kind of bland. It doesn't really stand out, but this is a standout color because it has different accents. People might ask you, what is that phone? Doesn't mean they're going to like it. A lot of people think this phone is rather ugly. I don't think it's ugly. I think it's not the best design, but I do think that I do applaud Google for going with going with glass and like an aluminum here with the plastic coating on top. It's unique. It's got this little orange accent. It's different. It just, no other phone really looks like this phone. So I do like that aspect. Although I do feel like the iPhone 8 Plus's design is a little bit more premium feeling. The Pixel 2 is a unique design, and it feels like a more practical design as well. One that if you drop it, you're not going to be as afraid to break it and stuff, because all glass on the front automatically requires us to have a case, in my opinion, or at least a skin at the bare minimum. This one, you could slap a screen protector on the front, maybe a glass screen protector, and the rear I wouldn't worry about too much because it's not a glass at the bottom. Now, you do trade wireless charging for that design, however. So at the end of the day, I think that the iPhone 8 Plus feels old, but it definitely feels premium. It feels like a very premium but old design. The Pixel 2 XL feels unique, not the sexiest, but practical and functional, and one that I wouldn't be afraid as much to drop. If we're talking about design, I want to quickly brush over the build quality section of both of these. The aluminum sides really does give you just that feeling of premium once again. I love having aluminum sides on any smartphone. The stainless steel sides on the iPhone 10 scratch just too much, and they feel more slimy, and they just don't feel as premium as aluminum like here on the 8 Plus. So Love that. Now, the rear glass does scratch on this device, so does the front. So I do recommend screen protector, maybe a skin on the rear or a, case once again. But it's pretty durable. Like, unless you're going to drop it like 6 feet high, I don't think you're going to have too much of a problem with the glass over the long term with the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, in terms of build quality on this phone, big display. So again, prone to scratches once again. The phones still haven't become scratch resistant. There's not really any phones that can avoid having scratches over the long term. And on the rear, this glass up here can scratch pretty easy on the Pixel 2 XL, but down here, this stays pretty clean throughout the use of the device. The white does get a little bit dirty depending on, the circumstances you're in. So if you don't want to get your phone dirty, you might not want to get the white edition here. But overall, the build quality on the Pixel 2 XL just feels, like I said in my, design aspects, it just feels a little bit more practical. It just doesn't feel super premium, just feels more practical and a little bit unique in terms of its design look. Okay, so a big section here is the display differences. Now, the Pixel 2 has been really just bullied when it comes to its display, and for good reason. When you make a phone that's $800 and you don't have the accuracy on point compared to all the other phones with the accuracy on point, that's going to cause some criticism. However, I did like that Google went ahead and fixed this on their manufacturing after, some of the initial launch phones. So if you buy one right now, brand new from Pixel, you might not get such a, blue shift on your display, but the initial launch wasn't that great. But the saturated mode on the Pixel 2 XL brings this to a level that I think is actually a better display than the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, the 8 Plus does give you one of the best LCD displays, but at the end of the day, it's still an LCD display. Blacks just look gray at nighttime. They don't even look black at all. And it looks kind of washed out compared to this OLED display. This is still immersive. It still has the, kind of curved glass, just very slightly curved. It's mostly a flat display. And it's just a little bit more immersive on the Pixel 2 XL. Yes, if you do lower the Pixel 2 XL down to its lowest brightness, you can see a little bit of green on some white. But this is also almost a 2K resolution right out of the box, or almost a 3K, something like that. And it's just sharper than the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, where the iPhone 8 Plus shines over the Pixel 2 XL is accuracy. It has a true tone display that allows it to get a little bit more warm and yellow. Some people might not like that though. If you don't like yellow, you're not gonna really like this true tone feature because it makes it a little bit more warm and yellow on the display. If you like a cool display, the true tone won't even matter to you on the iPhone 8 Plus. Overall, I don't know if you could see it in this video, but these colors just pop way more than the ones on the iPhone 8 Plus, and this is the better display, I feel. Even with the blue shift, it's still the display I would pick between these two. Another area I want to talk about just shortly is the software. Now, people like to say that iOS is so far ahead of Android, and a lot of times I think they're talking about Samsung devices because the Pixel 2 XL is the king of Android software. This thing runs just like an iPhone when it comes to smoothness, and it gets the same amount of updates. And actually, the Pixel 2 has been a much more stable experience for me than iOS 11 has been. I hope Apple really fixes this and goes back to their roots with iOS 12 because iOS 11 has been a mess for a lot of people, including myself. I mean, I just had a bug yesterday on this brand new iPhone and I showed it on Instagram. Yes, it might be petty, it might be minor, but when you're paying $900 for a phone, come on, Apple. I mean, we remember an Apple that was like a perfect experience when it comes to software. These days, there's bugs all over the place. So the Pixel 2 XL also gives you a lot of, updates like security patches and stuff like that when they do, get attacked or anything like that. So this is a secure phone as well. So, when it comes to software, here's how I would describe it. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, of course, the iPhone 8 Plus is going to be the better phone. In terms of their day-to-day performance, both are blistering fast, and the bugs are not so often on the 8 Plus that it would make me choose a Pixel 2 just because of a little slight bug here and there. But the Pixel 2 XL has been a more stable experience, and it's gotten a similar amount of updates. So on the whole, I would define it as this. If you're going to get a Pixel 2 XL, you're going to get a more modern software, a little bit more stable software, and if you go with the iPhone, you're going to get way better apps than the Pixel 2 XL. There's just more app support for the iPhone. You're going to get probably more major updates to the OS, like more often, because, while I do get a lot of Pixel 2 XL updates, you get a lot of major updates like 11.3, you're going to get 12, then 12 is going to come, you're going to have a whole beta process. There's a huge amount of updates to come to your iPhone. So that's basically the differences here in software. And I don't want to forget that you can do some true multitasking here for the Pixel 2 XL, something that's not possible on an iPhone. So if you're the type of person who's going to be using your phone for everything and under the sky and not using a desktop or a laptop, Android phone is definitely a better option for you than an iPhone. This runs more of a mobile style operating system. You have to hop into apps and go back to apps. It doesn't have true multitasking like the Pixel 2 XL does. So that brings me on to just slightly talking about performance here. Now, my feelings on performance are the Pixel 2 XL has the faster animations. To me, that visually makes my Pixel 2 XL feel like a faster phone. Now, I know a lot of people will argue, well, if you do video editing, the iPhone 8 Plus is going to crush the Pixel 2 XL, and I agree. But really, I mean, who's really video editing on a phone like as their daily driver editor? I mean, you could buy a $500 PC that will have an i7 or an i5, maybe a dual core i7 or i5. That's just going to be more easy on the eyes and use than a phone. So while I do think that if you do want that power, I don't think most people using phones are doing these things on the day to day. So the day to day, the Pixel 2 XL feels like the faster phone, even though technically on paper, the iPhone 8 Plus is the faster device, but neither are like so much faster than the other. Like, I'm not saying the Pixel 2 XL feels like a giant leap. No, it's just slightly, just a slight animation difference makes the difference in visually how you feel about what these phones look like in terms of performance. Okay, so let's talk about their storage. Both of these phones I have here are 64 gig variants, but the Pixel 2 XL, I think, does a better job of keeping that storage, not running out. It does have smart storage, which analyzes files and things like that and photos and keeps them, keeps your storage, usable. It's gonna try to help you out the most to not run out of storage. Now the iPhone, on the other hand, will let you run out of storage and ask you to buy some iCloud subscription monthly. So I say that, if you're getting a 64 gig, the Pixel 2 XL is the better option. But if you're looking for just hardware-based storage, Apple does offer a 256 gig and a 128. So because Apple does offer more storage and you can use the Google Photos on both platforms, I do think that for storage, the iPhone is the way to go, specifically if you're going for that 256 gig model. So let's talk about their camera differences here. Now, both do have 12 megapixel cameras. One is more of a hardware-based camera like the iPhone 8 Plus. They both have hardware, of course, but the Pixel 2 XL is a camera that has HDR processing and thing that just really crushes the competition in photos. And most people will agree that the Pixel 2 takes better photos than the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, we can do a proper photo comparison when the weather does get better around here in Chicago, so let me know if you like to see that. But overall, I find that the pictures on the Pixel 2 XL are the ones I would choose on a day-to-day over the iPhone 8 Plus. Like, when you take a photo on a Pixel 2 XL, it just analyzes stuff, and it's the better camera when it comes to somebody not knowing what they're doing with a camera and getting a better photo. As you can see right here, it just has a little bit more punch and saturation to it, and it just gets you a little more detail than the iPhone photo. But the iPhone photo is stellar nonetheless, and I do think if you're doing video, I would pick the iPhone because it does 4K 60 frames per second. Now, when it comes to their audio performance, the iPhone 8 Plus does give you a speaker down here and a speaker up here. On the Pixel 2 XL, you do have front-firing speakers. I find the Pixel 2 XL, even though it has front-firing speakers, it's not super loud, and I find it to be fuller and a little bit better on the 8 Plus. So for audio performance, I would have to give the win to the 8 Plus here. It's just a little bit better, even though it doesn't have those front-firing speakers like the Pixel 2 XL. If Pixel 2 XL did something like Samsung did with the Dolby Atmos feature, I would have to give it the win, but it didn't, and the iPhone 8 Plus just sounds better. Okay, so let's talk about the battery differences here. First of all, iPhone crushes the Pixel 2 XL for standby time. Pixel 2 XL doesn't have horrible standby time, but it's still a better standby time on the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, in terms of real world use, I find when the 8 Plus is actually being used a lot, that's where the Pixel 2 XL shines over the iPhone 8 Plus. Now, if you're just keeping it in your pocket and using it throughout the day, both of these phones are a day and a half, 2 days easily. If you're using these heavy, I do think if you're actually beating on it and using it, the Pixel 2 XL is going to be the phone I would pick right here. Also, the Pixel 2 XL gives you the fast charging. So on the battery side, it's a close call. It really is. And you're not going to go wrong with either of these. I wouldn't make this the deciding factor, but I would give it the win to the Pixel 2 XL just slightly because when you're actually using it, it lasts longer. And it does have a physically larger battery, which means that it should last better over the long haul. In addition to that, you do have, a fast charger included right in the box, but you get wireless charging on the 8 Plus. but I like having that fast charger right in the box. Nobody wants to buy extra accessories, especially when they're paying $800+ for a smartphone. So let's mention call quality. The call quality is actually better on the iPhone 8 Plus in my experience, and my feelings with the Pixel 2 XL haven't been great, specifically when talking about the speakerphone. Now, I don't have really reception issues on the Pixel 2 XL, but that speakerphone has let me down, and I'm not happy about using this phone to make calls on speakerphone. I feel like I have to have a headset hooked up, or I have to use it just with the earpiece itself. So Pixel 2, some people said that they couldn't hear me sometimes as well. I never had that issue for iPhone 8 Plus, so I'm definitely giving the 8 Plus the win for just pure phone call quality. And one last thing, both of these devices do give you IP67 water resistance, not the IP68 rating you get on the Galaxy device, but both of these do have enough peace of mind that I wouldn't worry about it getting, wet out in the rain, or if you're walking around and you might drop it in a little bit of water. It's not going to have too much of a problem there. Anyway, my final conclusion and feelings about the iPhone 8 Plus versus the Pixel 2 XL, which is the better phone here for $800+. This is a really tough one because both of them offer similar strengths. Like, they both have great software, just depends if you want Apple or Google. They both give you pretty good displays. They both give you pretty good cameras. Well, really good camera on the Pixel 2 XL, probably the best on a smartphone. And personally, I think the Pixel 2 XL is the better deal here for this kind of money due to the design feeling a little bit stale on the iPhone 8 Plus, and also having that amazing camera with HDR processing, the larger battery, which means the cells won't die out as fast as the cells in this smaller battery on the iPhone 8 Plus. In addition to that, you have a better value proposition with having the fast charger in the box. Also, Google supports this phone for up to 3 years. But this was not really about a software comparison. I find them even when it comes to software. This was more that I just think that for this time, at this point, I think the Pixel 2 XL is a better value. A lot of people will argue and say, well, no, the 8 Plus gives you a great value because you get the A11 Bionic, but you don't have to pay the price of the $1,000 iPhone. But what you do pay the price in is that the iPhone 8 Plus is going to feel a little bit stale when the 10 Plus drops later this year. Now, I made a video before saying that the iPhone 8 Plus I like better than the 10, which I do because it's larger, but at the same time, after this year, the Pixel 2 XL won't feel old. This will start to feel super old in a year or two. But both are great devices. Either one you go with, I think you're going to be happy. My pick here is the Pixel 2 XL. What is your pick though? Drop it down below in the comment section of this video. Any questions, comments, concerns, that also you can leave down below. Thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick here helping you to master your technology. Make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. I'll catch you on the next one. Be sure to be well, and peace.